May 2nd, 2024. Insta360 just sent me their new 360 camera, the X4, to make a video on. No strings attached, just asked them if I could get the new Insta360 X4 to test, especially with that new 8K capability. I wanted to see how well that would cut into a full video with footage from other cameras, and they obliged. Here's what I want to know with the new Insta360 X4. 1. How good is it for content creators? 2. How good is it for pro filmmakers? And 3, what's the workflow like with 360 footage nowadays, from shooting to editing? So let's get started.
Content creators and filmmakers have different requirements from their gear. Content creators have more emphasis on the creative use cases of a camera, while a pro needs it to hit a minimum bar of quality that they or their clients would be happy with. But both groups would like the best image quality possible out of their camera. So how good is the Insta360 X4?
Here's the thing about 360 cameras and action cameras in general, the thing that they suffer the most with, and that's going to be image quality. So I put the X4 in a pretty challenging spot right now. I'm currently in the shade, and of course behind me, the sky is probably blown out. It's really, really sunny and bright out right now. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the X4's image quality. All right, now let's jump into some of the specs of the Insta360 X4. So the first big new feature is 8K. Since it's 360 video, the pixels are spread all around the 360-degree viewport, meaning that even though it's 8K, it's not like you're getting an 8K video file when you're editing on your timeline, but more resolution should mean a sharper image in the end. And I'm definitely liking the look of the footage that I'm getting out of my X4 a lot more. On top of that, if you're shooting fast action content, you'll be happy to hear that the X4 can do 5.7K resolution at up to 60 frames per second and 4K resolution at up to 100 frames per second, letting you get up to 4 times slow motion. The X4 also has access to an active HDR mode, which gives you a flatter looking image that has more details in the highlights and shadows, which is a nice way to get a more pro looking image right out of camera. There's also some useful modes like single lens mode, which basically lets you use the X4 like a traditional action camera with 4K resolution at up to 60 frames per second. And there's also a me mode, which basically removes the need to do reframing in post, as it's a fixed viewpoint where you're going to be holding the selfie stick out as if you were going to be getting a third person front on point of view shot. Plus, their flow state stabilization software is incredible, turning extremely shaky footage into super smooth footage, which again is perfect for fast-paced content and for just walking and talking shots. So to answer question number 1, how good is the X4 for content creators? Well, if a content creator wants to keep their setup small and lightweight, then they have a few options. They could shoot on something more traditional like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. They could use something like an action camera like a GoPro. They could even use a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, or they could use something like this Insta360 X4.
There are advantages to each of those options, but the one that makes the X4 a good choice for content creators is that they can get really creative with their shots. But is it still too niche of a style? It's been several years and I still don't see a mass adoption of 360 cameras outside of sports-oriented content or BTS content. And one use case can definitely be for vlogging. Obviously, this is super easy. You don't have to be super concerned with how you're framed, just to make sure, you know, the lens and the camera is far away enough from you, because you don't want to be holding it this close to you casually and then it's just like a very awkward angle of your face. But, you know, it's a really simple, straightforward way to...
This is fine.
Give me the toy back. And what do you guys think of the audio coming out of the Insta360 X4? I'm assuming it's gonna sound all right, but I'm definitely willing to wager that it does not sound as good as a dedicated microphone like the DJI Mic 2 that I have going right now.
Okay, audio-wise, I'm actually really pleasantly surprised by how good that sounded. Props to Insta360.
So I think that it could make a good A cam. You can definitely make it work, but I think it's a better B cam to get those unique shots that you just really can't get otherwise. Kind of like the shots you could get on action cameras like GoPros when they first came to market. But either way you slice it, the Insta360 X4 is pretty good for content creators, especially if you're into extreme sports. Question number 2, how good is the Insta360 X4 for filmmakers and pro videographers? I guess I could put footage of the Insta360 X4 against the Sony Alpha Series cameras side by side and see how well they cut together. Yeah, that's a good idea.
think Insta360 really wants to be able to claim that their cameras are more than just action cameras now, that they're ready for big productions, and I'll meet them halfway and say that I think that the Insta360 X4 has been improving on all the things that we imagined we wanted from a 360 camera. It's getting to the point where the resolution won't make the footage look mushy next to our other footage shot on DSLRs or mirrorless cameras. We're getting incredible stabilization results, and the flat picture profile is becoming more and more forgiving of color grading as each new camera improves on the image quality.
Question number 3. What does the workflow look like for 360 footage? What's the process from getting it from camera to edit?
Capturing the footage is straightforward. Either use one of the modes like Me mode or single lens mode, or just shoot at 8K and let it capture proper 360 footage. Then I can either send it to my phone and do my editing there, which has a lot of options now, or I can download it to my computer and edit it there instead. I run everything through Premiere Pro in the end, so I just take the computer route. On the computer, I prefer to edit it through the Insta360 Studio app, which lets me do keyframing, subject tracking, and change field of view, on top of a few other options. But I typically just do reframing and export out a ProRes 422 file so I can have the most information to work with in my final edit.
Overall, the workflow hasn't changed much since the original Insta360 One X, but I feel like they've streamlined the process and made it so much more efficient and faster to go from a 360 camera shooting to getting it onto a regular timeline to edit.
There are a lot of options for cameras these days. Like I said at the top of the video, creators can choose from mirrorless cameras, action cameras, whatever category the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 falls into, and even their cell phones. So to add 360 cameras to the mix of options, I wanted to figure out, are 360 cameras good enough now? The new Insta360 X4 certainly makes a compelling case. With improvements in image quality, resolution, and stabilization, the X4 is a versatile camera that can cater to both content creators and filmmakers in different ways. Content creators can benefit from its versatility, from being a vlog camera to an action camera to a camera that can produce totally unique shots that stand out in social media feeds. For filmmakers, while it won't replace a primary camera like cinema cameras, DSLRs, or mirrorless systems, it has creative potential to create unique perspectives that other cameras simply can't, adding dynamic and immersive shots that could enrich the storytelling. And the workflow has become more streamlined, making it easier to integrate 360 footage into standard editing processes. If you're looking to expand your filmmaking toolkit and explore new creative possibilities, the Insta360 X4 is worth a look.